Yeah, hi everybody, this is Ryan back with you here again. I had a request from one of our viewers or subscribers about resealing the differential carrier surface to the axle casing itself. So I'm not gonna actually take it apart, but I'm just gonna show you guys what's involved, what you have to do. It's really not that big of a job other than the differential carrier being pretty heavy. So I mean, you're gonna need a pretty good size either transmission jack or a pretty big floor jack in order to do that, and at least another person to kind of help you get it out, because it's going to be probably 150 pounds, 200 pounds. I mean, they're pretty heavy, because that whole unit, well, I'm going to show you here in a minute, has your ring gear and everything else on it, and it all comes out as one piece. So it's not that big of a deal. It's just big stuff and it's heavy, and you have to pull the axles. But first thing we're going to have to do is drain it. And there's a plug on the bottom that you can use a 1/2-inch ratchet that should fit up into there, and then you can just take it off with the ratchet. You shouldn't need a socket. But I'll go ahead and show you what we have underneath there, and we'll go from there. So. Okay, so the first thing you're going to need to do, if you're working on the front axle, which I believe he is, you're going to have to take the drive shaft loose. So you're going to have these straps. You have to take both these two bolts off, and on the other side, then this has a slip joint in it up there, so you should be able to just push. Once you take those loose, you should be able to just push it back. Then just lay it off to the side, or take a piece of rope or a strap or something, or tie it to the side. I would recommend these caps here. They will fall off, and they got a bunch of needle bearings in them, probably like 100 of them. So if you drop that, you're gonna have a big mess. So I would recommend taking some tape or something and just taping it around the U-joint to keep those U-joint caps from falling off. So next thing, like I said, you're gonna want to drain this. You got a plug right there. That's just a 1/2-inch ratchet, and then this one has an air line. You have to take that loose. Then after that, your next thing you're going to want to do is you have to come back after you get it drained, and be prepared. There could be upwards of 3 gallons in there, so I'd have a pretty good sized pan down here to drain that into. But and make sure the truck's on level ground too before you start this. But the next thing you want to do, you're going to come back out, and you're going to have to pull the axles out. So I would recommend using a 1/2-inch air impact. Take all these bolts off, and once you do that, you can pull the whole axle out. If you've watched my where we did the wheel bearings, you can kind of see what that looks like, what the axle looks like when you pull it out. So they're not that big of a deal. So you can pull those completely out. Make sure when you park the truck that you got about 4 feet on either side, because you don't want to take all this apart then not have enough clearance to get that. I mean, you don't have to have it all the way out. I mean, you can pull them a foot out and just let them hang if you want. So, I mean, with doing this job, it isn't as big a deal as doing a wheel bearing or something where you need to pull it all the way out. So once you pull the axles out, we'll go back underneath here, and you have to do that on both sides. Keep in mind, both axles, or this will not come out. So once you get the axles out, get, like I said, a big floor jack or something. If you're working in gravel, put some heavy plywood down, and get your floor jack or transmission jack, put it underneath here. A lot of times, if you can get a ratchet strap or something to put around it and strap it to the jack, makes it a little bit easier. But you're going to want to have a good surface again, because you're going to have to pull this back on the jack. And you're like I said, you're going to need 2 people to get this out, unless you have a specialized jack for it. So after you get a jack up underneath there, you got to take all these ring bolts out around all these. Then after you do that, this whole unit will just pull right out, and then at that point you can take a die grinder or a razor blade scraper or something, clean up the surface. This is a Spicer rear end, I mean, some of them are Rockwells, and you might be able to find a dealer that sells that brand that might have the actual gasket. I mean, I like using gaskets when I can. If not, you can get some high quality silicone or something from Napa or wherever else, something that's good. These can get 270 degrees or so, so I'd get something that's kind of higher temp. I mean, if you're going to use silicone, like I said, if you can get a gasket, I would go that route. That's just they came with a gasket. I like to put gaskets back on things, but that's your choice. But like I said, if you're going to get an Napa or something, I'd tell them, you're doing a differential, and you can get like the big cocking tube silicone you can use in a cocking gun and go around there. But after you clean it up, reseal it, whether you're using a gasket or silicone, the process will be the same. You'll go ahead and push this back in, and like I said, when you pull it out, I mean, if you're using a jack, you may be able to slide it back and get it out of the way and tie it up or something, but just be real careful, because these are going to be extremely heavy. But then once you get the carrier back in, come back around, we'll push the axles back in, and again, if you watch my wheel bearing episode that we did, you'll kind of see how you put these in. You have to put them in, and you'll kind of have to hold them. You kind of got to play with them and turn them at the same time, because they're splined, and then you'll push them right in. Then if you got the nylock, if they've got the plastic nuts, I'd go ahead and zip them in with an impact, not real tight, then torque these to about 150 foot-pounds on the bolts. If they're a 5/8 or a 15/16 socket, it'd be a 5/8 stud. If they're a steel lock nut, I think they want those to about 200 foot-pound or so. But you can check with your manufacturer on that. If you've got, like I said, a Spicer, you can search Spicer axle torques, or if you've got a Rockwell, you can search that online, and usually pretty easy to come by that information. So once you get the axles pushed back in, you come back down, hook put your drive line back up in here. You just take your tape off if you take them up, push it back in, and tighten these back down. You may want to use some life, and if you're going to use the old bolts, I'd probably put some red or blue Loctite on them. And, but then after that, really the next step is just going to be, put your drain plug back in down here, and then you're going to fill it up, and I'll show you where the fill plug is. It's kind of hard to see from here. So here's the fill plug right here. So that one looks like it takes a 3/8 socket, or a ratchet, I'm sorry. So you can just put the ratchet head in there and turn it out. My back one actually has a square plug where you use like a crescent wrench, or if you got a square headed socket. But you'll want to fill that all the way, make sure it's on level ground again, and fill that all the way up until it's level, or it starts running back out the hole. And they'll take probably 2 to 3 gallons. Then I would, once you fill it up, put the plug in, let it sit probably overnight, and come back out and check it in. Check it again, because that oil will go ahead and fill the bearings and everything else up, and the level will drop a little bit, and you want to make sure that's completely full. If not, you could burn up one of your wheel bearings or something, and the whole hub assembly can come off while you're driving down the road. But it's pretty well the same process. If you're going to do the back axle, this one's going to be a lot lighter. It's a lot smaller, but it's basically the same process back here. So that's pretty well it. That's pretty well it for this job. I mean, it's not that big of a deal, and I'm surprised. I think the gentleman said that they wanted to charge him $1,000 to do that. I mean, basically there's no parts or anything involved, so I don't know why. I mean, it's not really that big of a deal. It's a half-a-day job basically. So but like I said, if I ever have to do this, or if I do it for somebody else, I'll do a video where we're actually taking it apart. If you guys got any further questions, let me know. And like I said, if you like the videos, like us and subscribe, and we'll keep doing what we do. So thanks for watching. Bye.